Live from the bar on Holmgren Way, it's time to go in the huddle with the green and gold. In the Huddle on the Woodward Radio Network is brought to you by Mills Fleet Farm. Now to Titletown and our Justin Hull.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome here to the bar on Holmgren Way. We are in the Huddle here on the Woodward Radio Network. In the Huddle, brought to you by Mills Fleet Farm, and hanging out tonight with quarterback Brett Hundley.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I wish we had a better terms to start the show out on tonight.
You know, I feel like things could be a lot better right now, but they're not. So.
Well, we'll dive into it. Yeah, we'd like to recap that first game here in the first segment and go on the road last night to open up a new stadium down in Atlanta. 34-23 loss to the Falcons. Let's start offensively. You guys got the touchdown on the first drive. Seemed like things were flowing a little bit, and then kind of fell off from there. Just kind of take us through the offensive performance, the game film, kind of what you guys saw.
We're jumping right into it, man. No questions. Hey, how you doing this morning? You know, just jump right into. All right, let's do it. But
we'll get it out of the way.
All right, very true. You know, I just feel like we were beat up. You know, that's not an excuse to make or anything, but it was a tough game. You know, Falcons are a good team, and they did a good job last night. And for offense, you know, we just gotta make sure we hit our mark next time, and you know, we'll get another chance. But you know, not every game is perfect.
The injury thing, you alluded to it. You mentioned it's not an excuse, but I mean, when you're talking about Brian Bulaga, David Bakhtiari, Jordy Nelson goes down early, Randall got hurt, Devon House, Kentrell Bryce, Mike Daniels. I mean, it gets to a point where it's like, all right, it's not an excuse, but at the same time, when you're game planning and preparing for guys being there, it's a lot of moving parts to fix on the fly.
Oh, yeah, and especially, you know, in the NFL practice-wise, the starters would typically take all the reps, so the backups and the third strings don't really get the repetitions of the game plan and stuff like that. So especially when you have guys that go down and are injured, you know, the guys coming in, they haven't ran through the game plan as much, as at least physically, as the starters. And I mean, all those guys you just named are starters. So
exactly.
You know, and it's not like there was just three of them. I mean, we had a lot. So we just got to get healthy, focus on that, and make sure this week we come better.
Easy to look at it as, okay, it's week 2. I mean, you guys got 14 games left. There's a long way to go. And I know it's been mentioned, talked about in the locker room. These are the games that kind of affect where you're playing come December and January. But you still, I mean, the road it's a long way to go where you want to get to.
You know, it is early in the season. But at the same time, you know, we want to win every game. So there's a lot left to be played. But these games, like, you know, the Atlanta game, those are momentum games. So, you know, unfortunately, we didn't win it. But at the same time, you know, if you start off hot with those momentum games, you know, that'll pay dividends at the end of the season when you're being able to carry on that momentum and use it going forward.
As a quarterback, tell us about Matt Ryan. I mean, you watch a guy like him. He's the reigning MVP. He's been in this league.
He's good.
For a long time. And, you know, maybe an underrated guy or didn't really have that success. And, you know, getting to the Super Bowl last year, I think really put him to a different level. Yeah,
I think at any quarterback, you know, making it to the Super Bowl is a huge step, you know, from just breaking out of the average group of quarterbacks. So, you know, I think Matt Ryan really placed himself in an elite category when he won the MVP and he made it to the Super Bowl and, you know, almost won it. Unfortunately, they lost, but actually not unfortunately. But, you know, he's a good quarterback, and I think he has a lot of good weapons around him when you got Freeman and Julio and Manu. He has a lot of offensive weapons, and their offensive coordinator does a really good job as far as how he calls plays and how he sets things up. They're an explosive offense, and that's sort of what Matt Ryan is good at. They protect him really well, and he gets, you know, he's smart with the ball, he's safe with the ball, but he also is able to take shots. So I think he's a perfect quarterback for that system and how he operates it.
So you personally, how do you move on after a tough game? What does Brett Hundley do to put the last one behind and start focusing on the next one, which is Cincinnati?
Usually you cry for about 16 hours. And then,
discuss it with us.
Yeah, you break down crying, and then after 16 hours, you get up, you drink a beer, and you keep going. No, I'm playing. But now, football is a game that each week is a new week. So win or loss, you have to be able to put that behind you and keep going. Bad game, good game. You have to be able to put that behind you and keep going, because I think this game is about continued success. You can have one good game, but that one good game won't win you a Super Bowl. You can have one bad game, but that one bad game won't, win you a Super Bowl or lose you a Super Bowl. Unless you're the Falcons last year. But, so I think it's just each week is a new approach. So as you keep going week by week, as soon as Monday hits, your mind, whatever happened that previous week, is on to the new.
What time did you guys get back this morning? The Sunday night game.
I think we got back at like 1 or 2 in the morning. Yeah. So it's been a long day. I'm just gonna say it's been a long day, you guys. Okay, all right. How about stadium-wise? I mean, you're opening up a new stadium, second year in a row. You guys did that. Tell us about Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean, I would like to think I've played at a good amount of stadiums now, or seen a good amount. Vikings have a really beautiful stadium. But the Falcon Stadium, I mean, we have the best, but the Falcon Stadium is honestly something special. Like, I'll give it to them. They did really good job building that stadium, because it is nice. I mean, up top is that big old screen. Yeah, the 360. It's
halo.
It's unbelievable. It's roof opens, closed. Outside the stadium is magnificent. I mean, it's unbelievable. So it's a cool opportunity to be able to open up in that stadium and play football there. Yeah, it almost seems like each time a new stadium is built, you kind of have to one-up the next one. Dallas was the standard for a few years. It was the 100-yard screen. Yeah. Now you have literally a 360. I mean, you don't have a bad seat in that house. It's nice. No, outstanding with the new stadium. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up here in just a little bit. So it is the Cincinnati Bengals, and I talked about turning the page. So have you guys already started looking at that next team? Oh, yeah. We come in today, we watch the film, and once that's over, we're on to Cincinnati. So, we know what happened. We know it wasn't our best performance, but at the same time, we know it's not our worst, and it's not going to kill us going forward. So, it's in the past. Now we're on to Cincinnati, and it's a new week, and we got to get prepared and win a game this week. Yeah, and, of course, when it comes to that schedule, then you guys, just to kind of refocus on that, off on Tuesdays, and then back to work on Wednesdays, how it goes. So, and it's just a repetitive cycle. So, as soon as Sunday hits, come in Monday, get your work done. Tuesday off, Wednesday you start. Okay, well, we'll talk a little bit more about the Bengals coming on, and we got a guest which we're going to introduce here in the next segment. We do have our video stream available too, WHBY.com. Live video streaming, thanks to our friends at Granite Peak Ski Area, the Midwest premier ski area located in Wausau, Wisconsin. A short drive from everywhere in the state. Granite Peak, the only ski resort where football players would ski if they were allowed to. You can purchase your season pass today. Visit skigranitepeak.com. I'll be there for all the info. Have you ever skied? I have, yeah. Okay. I go snowboard. Snowboarding? Yeah, I haven't skied yet, but I want to. You want to do the snowboard? All right. Yeah, maybe on the down low. Okay, we won't talk about it, but we might be able to set you up with something. All right, so there you go. Brett Hundley will introduce our guest when we return. It's in the Huddle, live from the bar on Holmgren Way on the Woodward Radio Network. And we are back here at the bar on Holmgren Way, the shadows of Titletown, in the Huddle here on the Woodward Radio Network. Brett Hundley, our host tonight in the Huddle, brought to you by Mills Fleet Farm, as we get to know our guest coming up next with our friends at Tomahawk Sports Center, back again in 2017. Get the best deals on Can-Am Ranger, Defender, Outlander, and more ATV and UTVs at Tomahawk Sports Center. Check them out online, Facebook, or on North 4th Street in Tomahawk, Wisconsin. The only place to buy or service your Can-Am vehicles is Tomahawk Sports Center. Can-Am, the ride says it all. All right, Brett, introduction time. So we got big-time player for us. We got from Wesley College. If you guys know where that is, that could be a random question that I asked the audience. He's single, ready to mingle. And we got Joe Callahan here, baby. All right.
Welcome, Joe. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. That was probably one of the better introductions I've ever had. Thanks, Brett.
Absolutely. I'll have you move that mic a little bit closer
sorry.
to you there. So Wesley College, I'll ask you, Brett, where's Wesley College?
Delaware.
It is Delaware.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That's as far as we got trying to figure it out. Where in Delaware is Wesley College?
Dover, Delaware. And for any NASCAR fans, it's right next to Dover Downs, which is a pretty big racetrack.
Yeah, okay. NASCAR heads there, I think, a couple times during the year.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's a pretty fun weekend, too.
I know you're a race fan.
Yeah, I like.
You were down at Road America.
Yeah,
this
taking
year.
pictures, man.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that
right.
on a future show. But Division III college.
Yeah, very small school.
Out of
We had about 1,500 people.
I read somewhere 2,400, but that might have been too much.
That might be a little.
So like everybody knows each other.
Yeah, it's basically a big high school.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
So you weren't thinking about, or you didn't really think NFL, did you? I mean, when you're going D3 college, I mean, what's the process there to here you are? Being a member of the Packers.
It was definitely a crazy journey. I picked a school that I liked. It was a smaller school with a good football program. One of the better Division III schools. But when I decided to go there, NFL really wasn't, in the plans, I guess. But I always thought, if I had a good career at Wesley, maybe there'd be a shot at NFL, maybe Canadian, or just some type of football team to keep playing a little bit longer outside of college.
Brett, you got a few small school guys around, but what's D3 guy comes in? What's that first impression? What's that thought process when here he's from a school where you kind of had to guess where it's at?
I know.
College.
I mean, it's crazy because some of these guys just come out and just ball out. Yeah. And, I mean, obviously Joe did that, especially his first year when he came out. And he's fun to watch. I mean, me, I was this dude is rolling around out here. But, it's unbelievable. A lot of people think that playing at, like, a D3 school is, you're not going to have the level of competition and it's not going to correlate to going, especially making a jump to the NFL or anything like that. But you see it time and time again. Joe's one of them. And, a lot of guys around the league that football is football. So, no matter where you're playing. And I think that goes to a lot of, kids making a decision on where to go to college. They're like, I want to go to the biggest school. No, just play football where you can play at and, everything will take care of itself. Yeah,
and you're in a state, too, that has a lot of respect for D3 football. I mean, Whitewater here in Wisconsin, one of the premier, if not premier programs.
There's definitely a lot of Division III powerhouses in Wisconsin.
Yeah. So what did you study in school?
I was exercise science major.
Exercise science major.
I kind of wanted something. It was kinesiology. I wanted something that dealt with sports in a future career, and that was kind of the path I decided to go on.
That's awesome.
What did you study in school?
Sociology.
Sociology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exercise science. Dude,
exercise
that's awesome.
science.
Yeah.
Like we don't even have that at UCLA. like this, like specific majors, like not a chance. Like
I'm sure there was something along the lines. It was just a fancy name.
Yeah,
for
very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Fancy names for it. All right, so part of our Get to Know segment that we have here, we like to send it over to Brett, and it's a little segment we call Hundley's Hot Seat, where you are about to be bombarded with questions by your teammate, and from what I understand, Brett can ask some random questions at sometimes.
I can.
Yeah. I mean, we spend a lot of time in the quarterback room together, so
yeah, it's probably
based off that, he could pull questions out anywhere.
Only
this
imagine
can go
what's
anywhere.
coming up.
I mean,
all right, so ladies and gentlemen, we give you Hundley's Hot Seat right now.
All right, Joe. I always start off pretty easy. Everybody trying to just get to know you. What was your first impression coming to Green Bay?
I was a Green Bay Packers fan growing up, so it was.
Yeah, there we go. That's a.
Yes. Pretty nice.
It was. I probably was a little bit more excited than most people coming here for the first time. I guess it's a little bit different from what I expected.
Yeah.
I kind of like how the stadium's built right into the town.
Oh yeah.
And
it is the town. Like
I mean, it's a unique place, and you don't see this anywhere else. So I guess I'm from a little bit smaller of a town, so it was exciting to come here and see a lot of similarities.
Yeah, it's good. What
Can I follow up? How'd you become a Packer fan?
Yeah, very true.
Little kid watching Brett Favre play.
Okay.
It's hard not to become a fan,
Right.
and then just
Brett Favre.
carried over throughout my whole life.
Yeah.
Once you guys made the decision to move on to Aaron, I just continued liking the Packers, and
now he's playing for
yeah,
him.
he
Now-
did.
now you're
Yeah,
playing
no,
for him,
You
so.
know? That's awesome, though. I mean, it's a
Uh-huh.
good story. So what do you like to do in your free time, I guess, for everybody who wants to know?
I guess it kind of depends on where I am. Back home, we're usually off during the summer, so I like to go to the beach a lot, fish. And then here, I'm learning freshwater fishing, which is pretty exciting.
Really?
Yeah. Lucas Patrick has been
Yeah,
showing
there we
me
go.
a couple of his secret spots, and we've gone fishing a couple times, and then just hanging out with some of the guys on the team.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, I guess we'll get into some more interesting questions. What was the very first thing you bought with your NFL paycheck?
PlayStation.
Really?
Yep, I made the team. I called my parents, and I went over to the mall and bought a PlayStation and a game.
What game?
Destiny.
No.
Which-
Now you left it and you just can't play it now.
Yeah, I left the PlayStation at home this season, and they just came out with a new game that everybody's playing. So I'm trying to get it back out here.
All right, well that's actually pretty interesting. I bought a ping pong table for my first
Ping pong
that's
table.
purchase.
All
Good
right.
purchase.
Yeah, it's a good investment for long-term sakes. All right, now let's get into some tricky questions. Randomly, can you, and if anybody can answer this, please go ahead. Can you name 3 consecutive days without using the words Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday?
3 consecutive days without saying Wednesday.
Friday, or Sunday? Wait, hey.
You said they
hold
could
up.
blurt it out.
I know. Just keep it to yourself. I'll let Joe talk
Say
for
the
a second.
say the days again one more time.
Can you name 3 consecutive days without using the words Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday?
Saturday, Easter Day, Monday.
That works. It wasn't the answer you were expecting.
All right,
but
screw it.
yeah.
It's not the answer. I
You
was
could have
looking.
tossed like Christmas Day in there. So
Yeah,
do you have one more?
No, we're just going for the answer. The actual, you're right, but it was yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So I can't say you're wrong
Yeah.
because actually that works. But
Not
Yeah.
with the
Hundley's
riddle
hot
was
seat.
looking
that's
for.
a quarterback answer right there.
You
You know,
survived.
think
There
outside the
you
box
go.
there.
We got more in the huddle coming up here on the Woodward Radio Network.
I believe you got it.
Far on Holmgren Way in the huddle on the Woodward Radio Network, brought to you by Mills Fleet Farm. Brett Hundley and Joe Callahan joining us here tonight. What kind of
Yeah.
wings did you guys get?
We got a couple of the garlic parm, which is really good for all that just haven't tried it. The Calypso?
Yeah,
Calypso?
Calypso.
Yeah,
And then I got hot.
Hot wings. There
good
we go.
stuff, man. Our
Outstanding.
wings are delicious, as
Yeah.
you guys probably can hear.
That's all good, but we got our audience questions coming up here in the next segment. We're actually going to bring John in here today for the next segment here as John Jordan from our affiliate 105.7 WAPL. So, John, I'm going to let you explain what we're going to do here for you.
Okay, well, we all know actors want to be athletes, and athletes want to be actors. So sometimes they make that transition, the athletes to actor, and this is called Quarterbacks in the Movies, where I'm going to give you a title of a movie, and you have to tell me what NFL quarterback was in that movie. All right?
Probably going to be
Think
great
you
at
got
this.
it?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Let's start it out with the most recent film, Draft Day. Starring Kevin Costner, all about the Cleveland Browns. Which
Johnny Manziel?
quarterback? I'll tell you that he was a former Cleveland quarterback.
Former Cleveland quarterback.
Well, Johnny Manziel.
I mean, that's not that good of a hint.
I know,
Yeah.
there's
There's
like
been-
20 of them.
Yeah, I mean, the past couple of years, it's not a great.
He probably, can we say maybe the most recent successful Cleveland quarterback?
You can.
Because you have to go to the 80s for a.
Yes.
Yeah. So
How about
there
the
was two
drive?
hits.
The most recent. This is
So, like the most recent successful Cleveland starting quarterback.
That's why we're going to the 80s.
That's why we're going to the 80s.
Oh, we are
Yeah.
going to the 80s.
Yeah. That wasn't a joke. That was like a factual.
yeah,
No, I
yeah.
didn't know. I thought you
I'm
meant
not
the
gonna-
most recent.
These are
I'm just letting you say it. You know.
Gotcha.
Outside of the
Gotcha.
80s. So 80s quarterback?
Yep.
Guess Bernie Kosar.
Bingo.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
1 for 1.
All right, that's how the game works. One of Justin's favorites, Ace Ventura, Pet
Oh,
Detective.
great movie.
I got it. You know it?
Not
I have
movies,
no idea.
quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Dan Marino.
Bingo.
Dan
Yes.
Marino.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Joe.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna rely on Joe on this. I'm just gonna be a support system.
Well, you got
back
the acting skills. You know, you're in the commercial.
You know, I've been in
Yeah.
one or two, maybe.
One or two.
Yeah, keep those under wrap.
Huh, we're going to have to look those
Yeah,
up
we'll keep
for,
those under wrap, man.
for the QB
Don't
room.
put me out there.
Here's a fun one, The Cannonball Run. The Cannonball Run.
I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, okay. It's not, yeah. Can we get a hint?
Try a different one.
He
was
was
in.
in 3 movies. He was in The Cannonball Run. He was in another movie with Burt Reynolds called Hooper, and he was also in one with Matthew McConaughey called Failure to Launch, where he was unfortunately naked.
Oh, I'm going to guess Terry Bradshaw.
You guessed correctly.
Yes.
All right,
There
3
you
for 3.
Dude,
Wow.
that's why I brought him on the show, you guys. We're freaking money.
Here's another recent one, Ted Part 2. Ted
Oh,
2.
you know it?
I have no idea.
He's giving you an opportunity.
Yeah,
to get one
I
right
have no
here,
idea.
so.
Tom Brady.
Bingo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember that. He was snuck into his house.
Uh-huh.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. This one a little older film, 70s, about 72 I think it was.
Just think of the era.
It's called The Last Rebel. The Last Rebel. Joe, you will like this guy's name at least. Joe. The Last Rebel.
Is that a big hint, Joe?
Yeah.
Joe?
He's a fan of Susie Colbert.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Just go on. Let's keep it rolling.
Namath.
Yeah.
Yes.
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath. Very good. And the final one.
All right, Brett, you
yes.
got to get this one.
No.
this one's
I
this
want
is-
Joe to answer them all.
No, this is. You have to have one. Brett.
I don't have to. Actually, this is a
Brett.
group effort. So as long as Joe's answering them, we're good.
Brett, you have to have this one. The movie is There's Something About Mary.
Was Brett a hint?
It's
or
a big hint. It's a,
Brett Favre. I don't
there
know.
you go.
There it is. Thanks for participating.
Yeah, dude. Hey.
All right. So the actor you would want to play you in the movie of your life.
Denzel Washington.
Oh, that's a great choice.
No, 100%. Or Will Smith.
Two good actors.
Yeah.
How about you, Joe?
That's tough. I didn't have my actors ready. Ready. I don't know. I've been. That's really tough. Does it have to look like me, or because
All right,
Denzel
Denzel,
Washington
I mean,
was a great
no.
choice? I don't
Will
know how
Smith.
much we look alike.
That's why I
but,
threw it out there because I just like the acting talent, you know.
I mean, there's some actors I like, but I'd go Chris Pratt. We have maybe similar looks a little bit.
Okay.
He's a younger actor, so it
Would-
won't be
would
an age gap.
Would you pick anybody else for him? How about, you were the casting director.
Chris Pratt? I picked Denzel Washington still.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. If Denzel wants to play me,
How about a favorite football movie?
Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans.
That's usually
That's
everybody's
the
go-to.
Yeah. Because Denzel Washington.
I like Friday Night Lights too.
That's a good one.
That might be a good one for this. Best depiction of football in a film.
You know what? There was maybe a 30 for 30 that kind of ruined Friday Night Lights for me a little bit, but I'd say that's pretty close. There's some exaggerations, but
That's good.
a good movie.
Favorite quarterback growing up?
I watched a lot of Donovan McNabb growing up, and then when I got into college, ironically, I started watching a lot of Aaron Rodgers. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And I think we
I
got
kinda
yours
answered
already,
that
right?
question
Yeah.
already, yeah.
Okay. Put into perspective this year. We'll toss this one out before we head to the break here. put into perspective, last night Aaron Rodgers throwing for 300 career touchdown passes.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Faster than anybody else. I think what a whole season was almost like 13 games quicker than the next guy. Can you put that into perspective?
I mean, for Aaron, that's an awesome accomplishment. But I think it was over Marino and Peyton Manning that he passed?
Marino and Peyton Manning,
Yeah.
13 games faster, yeah.
And, I mean, it's just unbelievable, especially for Aaron. You know, he's put in the work. He's done what he needs to do, and it's an awesome accomplishment for him. You really can't put it into perspective. He beat him by 13 games.
Yeah, 13 games. Like I said,
Yeah.
almost an entire season.
Yeah.
So. Good job of the quarterbacks in the movies, guys. Brett Hundley, Joe Callahan. Audience questions coming up next. We are in the huddle here on the Woodward Radio Network. Joe Callahan hanging out with us here tonight. As always, we invite you to follow along with the show, find out who our hosts are on a given week, see pictures, videos, and more at In the Huddle Show on Twitter and Facebook.com/In the Huddle Show to stay up to date. Well, it is time for the audience questions.
Yeah.
Never know what you're going to get here either.
Nah, they could be off the wall.
Off the wall.
Let's do it.
We'll send it over to John, and he's ready to go.
All right, man. Brett, we're going to start with you on this one from Twitter. Did you think 31-10 going in the fourth quarter, you were going to get the call to go in?
Yeah, great question. I did for a second, but, I'm glad we stormed back and, put some points on the board. But, obviously when the game is that much of a difference, sometimes, you start thinking more and more like, all right, am I going to get a chance to go in or at the end of this? Or, but, we put some scoring drives together at the end of it, and it sort of negated my thoughts. So.
Are you staying loose? I mean, I see you hovering behind Coach.
Yeah, it's hard. You try to, but at the same time, I mean, in all reality, you've been standing for an hour plus, so you're not exactly as loose as the beginning of the game. But your adrenaline's always going, so pretty much.
All right. This one from Kevin in Kaukauna. Your day off is tomorrow. What do you do in your day off?
Going on. What else? That's it.
That's all, Joe.
I'll probably see what a couple other guys are up to. Maybe get together, do something, hang out a little bit, go to the movies. Nothing too exciting.
Play Destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So what are you hunting for?
Well, I probably actually won't go tomorrow, but I want to try to bow hunt with a deer. So
okay,
I got to get one. I didn't get one last year, so I'm really going for it this year.
So do you go hunting with Jeff? Is he the guy to talk to?
I have once,
yeah.
And he has a new baby, so I was slipping the question saying that he's not going to have enough time this year, so it's spots that he's had and seen all the deer, just give them to me and I'll be there.
Okay.
We'll
put in a good work for you in a couple of weeks when he's back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
This one comes from Norman Swamico. Noon, 3:25, Sunday night, Thursday night. Pick one.
Sunday night.
You like the bright lights, big?
That's the best atmosphere.
Sunday night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Joe?
Absolutely. Sunday night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, honestly, the 12 o'clock games, the 3:30 games are, it's fun, especially when you win that game because then, most of the time you don't have time after a game. Like Sunday night, you get home late and stuff like that. But Sunday night, everybody's watching. The sole focus is the football game, so you can't get better than that.
Sunday night home, I'm guessing that would be.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sunday night home. Oddly enough, that brings up this other question. How weird has the practice schedule been for the last few weeks? We've heard they changed around the practice schedule a little bit, and
they may change it, but it still stays to the same structure. So you may take out a couple periods, you may add a couple periods, or you may change the timing of practice, but
I think that was it. There was a late and an early.
Yeah, going a little earlier once again because what training camp you guys are going 3:45 or something?
Yeah, training
for a while?
camp we go later. Then
Yeah.
once we get into season, then we start I think at 11, 12 practice.
Yeah.
So,
11 to 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So what time do you show up at the field on a given day? So you have practice at 11. What time on Wednesday are you actually getting there?
Oh, we have meetings. No, we don't just walk in at 11. I mean, we're there at 7. You start meetings, you go through meetings all the way up until practice. Then after practice, you go back into meetings, and then you're there till about 5, and then you go home.
So it's a lot like college was, right? Where it's like you're almost going to class to class to class, but it's meeting to meeting.
Yes, and then practice in between, and then more meetings. Yeah.
It's not just practice in the games. For those listening that don't realize it.
No.
Yeah, it's a 70-hour-a-week job in a lot of ways.
A lot more.
Yeah.
Brings up another question. Practice. You guys run the scout team. A lot of the scout
good
team
at it
stuff.
too. Yes.
Exactly. Break that down. Joe and I were talking earlier. Break that down. How does that structure work? How do you get into the head of the opposing offense, the opposing QB?
Oh, I'll let Joe answer that.
Our scouting department does a good job kind of picking up on some of the tendencies, and then, just from knowing some of the other quarterbacks in the league, you've watched them play, and me and Brett try to mimic those quarterbacks to the best of our abilities. I think we're two of the best in the league at doing it. We take a lot of pride in our reps when we get them, but we just try to prepare the defense as much as we can for Sundays.
Like, honestly, I was Matt Ryan just a couple days ago.
Right.
So
right.
You wouldn't notice now, my skin color and stuff like that. But
2 weeks ago, I was Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
you would never know.
And that's a follow-up. Which quarterback that you've had to mimic in the scout team has been your favorite to do?
I like the quarterbacks that run around a little bit, extend the plays. Russell Wilson's always fun. Matt Ryan wasn't as much fun as some of the other guys, but
stand in the pocket and just. Peyton Manning was actually fun to me though, just because all of his
Omaha.
The Omahas, like the foot movements, the way you move your body, like that was pretty
back
fun.
in, back out,
like all that
that
stuff. Like that's pretty fun.
Okay, it's not just practice.
We actually become them.
Yeah,
we are them.
Acting.
You are them.
Yeah, we are damn good at it too. Like everything.
Who haven't you been yet that you wanna? That you're looking forward to?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Okay, be a cool one.
Yeah.
Roethlisberger.
That'd be a good one.
That's one that I'm looking forward to this year.
That'd be a fun one.
Good. Another odd question that was on Twitter about Chick-fil-A. Since we don't have a Chick-fil-A in Wisconsin, this was Stacy. She's originally from Atlanta and down south where they have Chick-fil-A's. Did anyone seek out the Chick-fil-A while they were in Atlanta or bring any back with them?
I have a funny story about that. I tried to bring a Chick-fil-A to Green Bay. I put in the paperwork and everything. I promise you, I did.
This is deeper explanation.
This is deeper. I did everything we could. Me and my wife were like, "Man, wouldn't it be awesome to have a Chick-fil-A here?" So we did it. We went online. We did it.
You were gonna franchise?
I was gonna franchise a Chick-fil-A here.
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to smuggle
a
sandwich.
No, I'm not gonna smuggle the whole plane to Chick-fil-A's. No, I was gonna bring a franchise here.
Okay.
And there's somebody already doing it.
Oh.
Yeah. Just broke my heart.
Man.
Maybe you could partner up with this.
I was thinking about it, but it's like, why not bring a Chick-fil-A here?
Do it.
Did you look at any surrounding areas?
I
or
wanted
anything?
this.
Okay.
I wanted
by your
prime
house.
spot.
That
just
too.
right next door.
I know. Yeah.
That's dangerous.
It's actually gonna be my backyard. Just to let you guys.
This question: is Coach the only one on the team allowed to call Martellus Bennett Marty?
No, I call him Marty.
Yeah, I think just about everybody does.
Yeah. Everybody calls him Marty.
Marty's
he calls
cool.
himself Marty. So
yeah.
All right. Very good. And let's see. When someone has the flu, I think Brian Balaga had flu this week. How seriously is that taken by the training staff?
That is like a random, such a random question. I mean, it's the flu. You stay away.
Right. You don't want it going through. Was he sent home?
Oh,
I mean, what measures are taken so that doesn't?
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember seeing
almost all week.
Yeah, I think Mike said they sent him home 2 days in a row.
Yeah, I mean,
Wednesday,
if you got that, I mean, you don't want that infecting the
70-plus guys in the same area all day. You don't want the flu going around.
You don't want that.
Right.
That'd be pretty bad. So there you go, audience questions. And as always, you can send those in the Huddle Show on Twitter. We will take them throughout the week. We got one more segment to go in the Huddle. Brett Hundley, Joe Callahan with us tonight here on the Woodward Radio Network. And we are back here one final time at the bar on Holmgren Way in the Huddle on the Woodward Radio Network. Packer quarterbacks Brett Hundley and Joe Callahan with us here tonight.
Yeah.
Cincinnati week. We'll get to the Bengals coming up in just a moment. But I know we have one more audience question we did want to get in.
One more. Since Ty Montgomery converted from wide receiver to running back, what position do you think you could convert to if you were asked? Or do you have a preference of what you'd like to be, if not quarterback?
Defensively, me and Brett do a pretty good job playing safeties all week. I think we could make that jump if needed. I also think I'm a pretty good defensive end in those same drills.
Yep.
I might not body type convert as well to that position.
He's more like a Vic Beasley, you know?
Yeah.
You look at him and you think, he's not as big, but he's fast.
Fast.
You know? That's
Right.
Joe.
You got to catch him.
Yeah.
Great edge rusher.
Yeah. Unbelievable. You should see us on Saturdays.
How about you, Brett?
Safeties. We do a
Safeties.
damn good job at playing safety. Yeah, I mean, people don't realize, but, like, in our role, like, we become the quarterback, and then on the flip side, when we're, you know, having to put on jerseys and be the defense, we become the defense. So, you know, I was Keanu Reeves this week, and then, I mean, we were just about everybody. Joe was Vic Beasley sometimes, and we do our part.
Yeah, we rule the air on both sides.
So it's Iron Man football, both sides.
It
yeah,
is.
there's no off plays. We're going 100%
Every time.
every rep.
Every time.
So you guys mentioned how awesome it is to play on Sunday night. You play 3:25 against Cincinnati, and then Thursday night football.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Thursday night football?
A quick turnaround.
Quick turnaround.
Yeah. I mean, just because, like, you put, you know, it's like your schedule's going, and then you play Sunday through 25, which is good that it's not it's good this time that it's not a Sunday night game.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you got to think, you try to get your game plan in and stuff like that. You don't really get the time to practice. You got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is just a get in refresh day, and Thursday you're playing again. So it's fun, you know, again, it's sort of like a Sunday night. Everybody's watching, but quick turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, atmosphere-wise, is it the same feel? I mean, you guys, it feels like you play the Bears on Thursday night every year, which kind of creates an atmosphere on its own.
It does. You know, I guess every time you play the Bears and it's a rivalry game, it's its own atmosphere. But Thursday night games are good. Sunday night games, awesome. You know, I don't know if you got anything more to add to that. But it's
I was in Cleveland for a Thursday night game last year, so it's definitely not the same atmosphere as I'm sure Lambeau on Thursday night.
Was it Cleveland and whom?
We played the Ravens.
Cleveland and Baltimore. Okay.
Yeah.
But you get to wear those sweet color rush jerseys.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
The all-white uniforms.
Yeah, I've had my cleats in my locker for that game, just waiting this whole time. So I can't
I
wait.
was so jealous. Those uniforms looked toast.
Yeah.
What
So
was the
cool.
Browns color? Was it all brown?
I think we were
Orange?
white. We went
You were
white
white?
too because we were the away team. Luckily, because there's not too many good choices with orange and brown.
So it is the Bengals. I know it's kind of been quick. You guys started seeing some film on them. They're struggling a little bit this year. I don't think they put in an offense. I don't think they put a touchdown up on the board yet.
No.
What are some notes? Give us a little bit of the breakdown on Cincinnati.
You know, every game, no matter who you're playing, you know, because they can go 2 games without putting a score on the board and then come out the next week and be unbelievable. You know, because they still have A.J. Green, they still have, you know, Andy Dalton. So every game is hard to win in the NFL. No game is easy, but they're a good team. They're good at what they do. Defensively, they're really good. Offensively, you know, they've struggled the first 2 games, but you still have to understand that they have playmakers out there. So if those playmakers get loose and make plays, then it's going to be a tough game. So we just got to come out and do our job.
Joe, anything to add? Anything that stands out on the film with them thus far?
Yeah, you know, I agree with Brett. They have playmakers on both sides of the ball, solid defense. You know, some of the top guys in the league on offense. So, you know, me and Brett are going to have another big week as Andy Dalton this week.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
I'm going to be Andy Dalton here in a second, so both of us actually.
Going to be Andy Dalton in a couple.
Yeah.
Okay. Uncommon opponent, too. What's different in a week when you play that AFC team that you haven't seen in 4 years or you really don't know about? Is it more work to try to learn them compared to taking on a Chicago or Minnesota, somebody you're a little more familiar with?
I think maybe game plan-wise for the coaches, just because, you know, you got to think as a coaching staff, every time you play a team, you save that game plan so then you can look back on it recent, you know, for the next game and see what you like, see what you don't like. But then for the AFC opponents who we play, every couple years, it's like you don't have that database stacked up against them in that consistent history. So it's just probably a little different.
So what should fans be looking forward to back to Lambeau this Sunday?
A win.
A win.
A win. Get back on track.
Yeah. Always good to have that home cooking, too, playing at Lambeau Field, right, Joe?
Oh, yeah. There's no place else like it anywhere else.
Absolutely. Joe Callahan, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to Joe for coming out and hanging out with us here tonight. And, Brett, we'll see you in a few weeks.
I know, 3 weeks, I guess.
3
now.
weeks.
Yeah, you guys
yes.
are just.
Yeah, next week, because of Thursday night football, we'll have another special guest because you guys practice while we're doing the show.
Yeah.
So it's tough to do the show. And then Jeff Chanis will be back on October 2nd. And then Brett's next show with us will be on October 9th. But as we always talk about through the Twitter, through the Facebook, we'll keep you posted on all the details within that, guys. Again, thank you so much, and best of luck against Cincinnati this week. And thanks to everybody for joining us, all the 20-plus stations around Wisconsin that carry the show, all of the folks coming out here to the bar in Holmgren Way. We'll see you next time in the Huddle here on the Woodward Radio Network.